So continuing from there, Rahul, what does job ready actually mean in the pharma industry today, and more so Cipla being one of the largest ones? I think your perspective is really important on this.
I identify two important pillars. One is role readiness, and second one is speed and compliance. Actually, are false trade-off. You cannot trade off speed or compliance because both are essential. We are working in a very competitive environment. So if a headquarter is vacant for say 3 months, 4 months, you may lose your important accounts over there. So you need speed of hire. And yes, compliance is something we work in a regulated environment. So you need that basic hygiene, basic compliance while you hire an individual. I said that, we hire for attitude and behavior, though we also look at technical expertise because they are important. However, if I have to choose between both of them, I'll say that, we hire actually for attitude and behavior.
Great. So Rahul, let me start with a very broad question, right? So pharma isn't like most industries. So a wrong hire here can have some downstream effect and impact as well. So how does that fundamentally change the way you think about hiring as such?
You said absolutely right, because in pharma is not just about getting one more headcount or bringing one more foot on street, because it's a compliance issue, which means, when your field rep is going to a doctor in HCP, carrying a product, claims, it's a game of life and death for every individual, because a wrong decision or a wrong patient or wrong prescription can actually cost life of an individual. So I think in pharma, right hiring is something which is as good, as important as bringing the right product. So you cannot actually risk with the wrong people. And how does it change our process? Because, while we hire, as a fundamental principle of hiring says that you hire for behaviors, we hire for behaviors, but we also take care of that, how this individual is actually on the knowledge, his experience. Can he handle that? Does he have the learning agility? Because medical changes, product changes, therapy changes, and there are a couple of things which need to be learned. So learning agility is one of the core behavior which we identify during our interviews, so that we actually have right guy in place.
I think that's very important. That's what I meant by the downstream effect. So continuing from there, Rahul, what does job ready actually mean in the pharma industry today, and more so Cipla being one of the largest ones? I think your perspective is really important on this.
In Cipla, how do we actually assess job ready or maybe the role ready individual? So we identify two important pillars. One is role readiness, and second one is Cipla fit. So you can say role fit and Cipla fit as two more, you can say sharp pointer which make my individual a job ready or market ready individual. When we say role readiness, because pharma rep role has changed significantly from what pharma rep was actually doing in 2000 and what they are doing right now. Going back to 2000, when it was more of knowledge dissemination, where you have to go and talk about your product, doctors were unaware. There was lack of information in terms of new, and especially when the new products were coming to market. The reach of product and information, there was a significant gap, especially in the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 towns. Now, the information is actually landing at speed of light. So your product may not reach to the shelf, but the information, how this product is working, side effects, profile, everything reaches doctor. Even many times, faster than pharma companies or the medical lab. So here now, the role fitment is not just about information dissemination, not just about giving information to the doctor, but also about knowledge management as such. Are you aware of the, almost everything which your product caters to? If not, being 100%, you can say scientifically updated on it, but do you know that where that information lies in the organization so that you can bring that information to the doctor? Second most important element, because now it is less than, promoting your product, to account management. How do you handle the accounts, the big accounts of your doctors? Are you available for your customer when they need you most, which means when they need information, when they need their patient support, when they need their service support in terms of maybe any crisis with your product, with any service, or maybe knowledge updation to you? So are you available? How good you are at customer relationship management? Your track record plays an important role. Your feedback, because this is a small industry, and this is an industry where you hire people from that limited bunch of group. Your feedback within the system plays an important role, which makes an organization think about that, is it the right talent to hire or not? Second comes the simple of it, because now, as I said, that it's not about just going and meeting customer. Now you're bundled up with multiple apps where you have to feed your feedback. So are you digital ready? Are you digital ready? You know how to operate in an environment which is agile, in which you have to, update reports multiple times, give feedback to your doctors, give feedback to your peers, give feedback to your management upward, so that information can be taken off. Also, while you give information, can you bring insights from the information? So are you actually, agile enough to understand the entire process or organization as a whole? So I think these two important elements makes a decision, is that individual a job ready or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is quite important, and this leads me to my next bit, is which I've always wondered and found interesting, is the concept of speed versus compliance. What I mean by that is, on one hand, your business wants agility; they want everything to be done very quickly. But pharma operates always under some very strict regulatory frameworks, right? So, in that sense, from a hiring perspective and various things, how do you balance your hiring speed with strict compliance requirements? And what are your non negotiables when you are actually evaluating the talent to be hired?
Speed and compliance actually are false trade off. You cannot trade off speed or compliance, because both are essential. We are working in very competitive environment. So if a headquarter is vacant for say 3 months, 4 months, you may lose your important accounts over there. So you need speed of hire. And yes, compliance is something we work in a regulated environment. So you need that basic hygiene, basic compliance while you hire an individual into system. So if you talk about my non-negotiable, or maybe per se farmer's non-negotiable, the scientific temperament is something which is respected, which should be evident in the individual, is something which is non-negotiable. The next more important is the ethics, because our business is based on trust, is based on information. You cannot spread false information, cannot give wrong claims. So I think how ethically strong you are as an individual is second thing, which because it's you who are visiting doctor, but it's Cipla who is being represented. And when I say Cipla is being represented, or any pharma company for that matter is being represented, and it is trust, because we operate in more than 120 plus countries. So it's a matter of trust, not just in Cipla, not just in India, but across globe. So I think these two are important. Third, and the most foremost important, is because I said that you are representing Cipla. So how do you carry yourself? Your presence makes an important element. Your basic grooming. How do you talk? Are you polite enough while you're talking? Are you assertive? So I think these are also some of the elements which we evaluate while we actually onboard someone individual.
Okay, right. So that's an interesting one, because you have to strike that balance over there.
And one element which I must say, because speed was one of the elements when you said, hiring nowadays is really tough, because people say that people are not getting job, they're unemployed. But same time, when you come to organizations, that we are not getting the right talent. So it's very important that you create talent pool. We cannot bring or build a bench strength like IT. But yes, as a pharma, generally pharma works on principle of creating a talent pool in terms of identifying good people within territory. So as a process, pharma works majorly on, reference-based job, which means if I know somebody who's working in this territory and is good, I'll refer that individual to my territory. So I think that helps us in keeping the speed of hiring into.
Correct. Yeah, I think it becomes very easy as well, right? So I just want to shift gears a little bit, because I think hiring, what we've spoken about till now, is just a starting point, right? Because it's such an industry where regulations also kind of evolve very regularly, roles become more specialized. Just want to shift and ask you, how important is this continuous capability building that you do, right? So how do you, by that, what I mean is, how do you ensure that your teams stay current, especially, let's say, if you're looking at manufacturing or R&D or something like a field role, right? So, because I think now internal mobility is becoming more important than external hiring, is what we're seeing as an industry. So, how does that affect you?
So, absolutely right. We said that hiring is important, induction in hiring is onboarding is important, but that is the groundwork. And actually, the ROI lives in how do you scale up or build the capability of your individuals who are working with you. Because, Look at the mass, 10,000 plus people. If 5% increment in each individual comes, the results are compounding. Actually, they are compounding. So continuous learning is one of the core agenda. We work on principle of build sustainable growth, which says that while you build the core competencies in the initial days, how do you sustain that competency within the period when an individual is working in same role? In our case, it becomes utmost important because world is dynamic in medical terms. In terms of the doctor are updating themselves almost every day to multiple sources, multiple channels. New drugs are coming, new disease are coming, new competitors are coming, and in market like India, where we are trading with branded generics, where there is hardly any difference, you need to be on your toes to find that one unique proposition that how your drug is better than the competition and what you can how you can help your doctor to make right choices for their patients. So I think that's why continuous learning and updating people on what is that one difference? Maybe you as an individual, maybe you as an organization, how we can help doctor in taking right decisions, how you and your organization can help serve patient better. I think that is utmost important in this competitive era of pharma, when especially you are dealing with branded generics. And then comes the time when drugs like obesity comes into the market, where there is a flood of competition coming, but yes, there is lack of real and right information available. Not just the one who is selling the product, but everybody within the leadership pipeline knows about their drug, so that doctor knows Cipla, doctor know this drug is being promoted by X division or Y division. Doctor expect you to talk about it or give some information. So it becomes important for us to disseminate that important piece nudge of information for which you may not be responsible for, but you can actually help your doctor to find the right chord where to get information from. So I think that is important.
True, absolutely. And I think what typically would happen over there is that, do you see that, because this is the trend that we are seeing, is that organizations are prioritizing things in terms of internal mobility, right? There's definitely a growth shift towards integrating various things on talent, right? Capability building, for example. So capability building seems to outperform those that focus only on hiring in certain industries. So do you think that is happening with Cipla as well? Are you all focused more on capability building or just hiring?
So not just Cipla, but if you will see the whole pharma architect, you will see that you will find people who are medical rep are now the national heads or heading organization. So pharma as the principle always encourage people to not only just move vertically upward, but also find horizontal careers as well. So we in Cipla, we also promote the, we do not believe that, there is only one way to grow in the organization, that is up the hierarchy, but we believe in your lattice, career lattice actually, which says that if somebody wants to join, say, product management team, so they can always go. So there's always an opportunity to, let me give you an example. Suppose if there's an individual who is working great on a product, so they have been assigned as brand ambassador for the region. They've given projects and working on this project. If they show that they have that neck for product management team or project management per se, so they have given opportunities as well through IJPs to move into different careers, from sales to to career of a brand manager, sales to a career of project manager, sales to a career of maybe into SFE and other roles. So as an organization, we always welcome different perspectives. We always welcome that if people want to think and go beyond their career, they have equal opportunity. How do we as a learning and development supports? So our role is very simple: to identify and create. First, to identify that, okay, this is the pool where you actually were hypolized. How do we actually, while understanding those hypos, career aspirations, we assign different, modalities to build those capabilities. And once they appear and prove them themselves, they are like 70-80% there, organization hires them and approves them.
Right. So internal mobility is important. And what we're seeing today is also that there's definitely a growing shift, right? So people want to integrate more from a transactional perspective, integrate your assessments, learning deployment, everything right, in one ecosystem. So that is the shift that we are seeing. And coupled with that, I think it brings me to a broader area, right, with AI, right? Now, with AI being a part of lifestyle today, how is AI transforming talent practices? I mean, with the pharma industry, it's doing across various industries, but pharma is unique, right? So, where do you see AI adding real value or capability building, and where should you be cautious about it? As in, can AI be trusted in a compliance heavy environment, and up to what extent can it be done? It's a slightly broad question, but I just thought we'd throw some light on that.
As pharma, we have I've not seen a use case where it has been adopted heavily. But yes, I think there are certain projects which are running here, there in different organizations where, actually your talent management and talent marketplace are now evolving more of integrating multiple solutions. So it's not about the Gen AI part of which we are seeing now, but also by looking at, different AI analytical engines which are giving nudges and storing up and adding up the data of individual and, helping human intelligence and AI mass to identify that where this individual files in the 9 grid. So I think that is something which has been started. No, I've not seen a real use case in pharma, but I've seen that people are using it in terms of identifying your high potential, using them in assessment centers now. Now the assessment centers are not just human side, but they're also adding the AI layer to it, where you will get assessed from the AI beforehand going to a real assessor or CBIs. You will have AI build assessments. You will have AI build in basket activities where AI will assess your every move and stuff, that what you did, how you did, what was a problem statement, what do how do you react to a certain challenge or problem. I think that is the starting phase. Yet to see a major impact on this. When you say that will AI can be trusted in the regulated environment, I think let's leave about regulated and compliance environment. AI is good, and I say must to have every part of organization, every part of industry. However, is one should not leave behind the guardrails, the regulatory and the compliance guardrails which you apply while using AI, and always keep human in loop. You can say one of the most important element while you apply AI everywhere, like keeping human in loop and keeping that human check is something more important.
Correct. And I think that's what leads me to my next question. When you look at the pharma industry, one thing that often gets overlooked in the pharma industry is also the human side in terms of communication, empathy, influence, these various aspects. And I know you touched upon them a little bit earlier, but in your experience, how critical are these skills alongside technical expertise, right? So are these skills assessed enough during the hiring and the capability building process, or are we just like, if it's there, people grow it from experience, or these are inherent, is what the expectation is?
So if you remember my very first answer, I said that we hire for attitude and behavior, though we also look at technical expertise because they are important. However, if I have to choose between both of them, I'll say that we hire actually for attitude and behavior, because technical skills can be learned. If you find that there's a learning agility in this individual, and today I'm not able to pronounce, say, a medical term, you can teach me how to speak and what to speak. But you cannot actually build that attitude and behavior, which somebody has taken like 15, 20 years in building that. So I think that is most important. The basic process which any pharma company, not just supply, any pharma company, follows is for every hire, you do a ref check. And this ref check is not from the agencies. This ref check is from the real field environment. Because if I'm hiring Rahul from, say, Mumbai South, there are Mumbai South people who are working in this environment. So we get real feedback on, and not on, does he do sales? No. How is customer relation? Who are the top 5 customers of this rep?
Right.
Do not know him by name. How do you feel this individual as a medical representative or a friend or a colleague? So these are the type of questions which generally ask. Not about how much sale does he do, what is his target, is he achieving his target or not? No, these are not the questions while we do or check the reference of an individual. We generally talk about and check his customer relationship, how is he coming daily to the field, is he meeting right customers, do customers know about him, do he know about customer, and all those stuff. I think that are important. Because our relationship is, and as I said, that this is not a transactional relationship. This is an account-based relationship where trust plays an important role because doctors, if doctor is prescribing a medicine, he's trusting Cipla. He's trusting individual who is coming to the coming and telling about the product and claiming the efficacy of the product. It's also, if you're not empathetic but patient, then that genuine ethical ground gets shaken off.
Yeah.
So you need to be very ethically grounded because you know that whatsoever I'm telling to this doctor is going to not just impact doctor prescription, it's going to impact life of not just individual but families. So I think that ethical ground, keeping empathy, and resilience is one of the important because we work in an industry where you have to stand in a long queue, wait for 15 minutes and do just 45 seconds or maybe a 1 minute call. So that resilience and even not accepting a no, accepting nothing from a customer that he'll not say no, not say yes, and still you are meeting him and asking for prescription. I think resilience is one of the most important which you focus on.
And yeah, it is in that sense. I think that kind of brings us to the end of this. But Rahul, this has been an incredibly, I think, insightful session for me at least, and especially to hear from your perspective, right, on moving from hiring to continuous capability building. As such, has been phenomenal. And to everyone listening to this podcast, the big takeaway is very clear that talent isn't a one-time decision anymore, right? It's an ongoing strategy which continues to evolve through new age SaaS models and platforms as such. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Rahul, for your time. To all our listeners, stay tuned for our next episode as well.
Thank you, Pat, for inviting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. You're most welcome.